police. He could even show some IDs. And everything would be fine. He would not have to fear that he is being deported anymore. And because Ernesto is white, for an Hispanic and a Mexican, he has Spanish blood through and through in his vein. And he goes through as white man. He got an identity of someone who was called Franklin Patton. Frankie. The first time Ernesto held this ID, he looked at it with pleasure. This was the card. This small card was the relief. This small card decided whether he would be deported or not. Is determined whether he can live a normal life or not. It means the world of two worlds, the difference of two worlds. But then he grew thoughtful. It is not his name after all. It is not him, Franklin Patton. And as to thought about it, where this Franklin Patton lives, where he is, how does he look like? Pablo Alhambra said that you look like him. And everyone who will see you will mistake you for him. And he even warned Ernesto that if you meet someone who recognizes you, who calls you Frankie, watch out. Say that you are in a hurry. Say that you have to be somewhere. Be polite. And if you see someone willing to talk with you, fake a phone call. Fake anything, but you have to get out of here. You don't want to raise suspicion. That's all Pablo said to him. Ernesto would have needed more information. How this Franklin Patton is. How is he act like? He could be Franklin Patton. He could act like it. There were days when Ernesto even thought he could trick everyone to be Franklin Patton, as long as he has enough information about him. These were word thoughts. But again, in the end, he always looked at the card of the ID card. His name was not on it. The name his parents gave him, the name he was baptized with. But he could live on. And then he applied for a job. Bob Doyle. Of course Bob Doyle knows about this scheme. Of course he and all these others, they take advantage of illegal migrants. And when he applied for the job, Ernesto remembers, he came in, shake hands. Bob Doyle had the application papers in his hands. He smiled when he looked at Ernesto. And he said, Mr. Patton. He said it in a sarcastic way. This is your name, isn't it? He continued with a smirk. Ernesto, he could only nod. This is all what you can do. He was in his hand. There is nothing. This was the first time he would try out whether it works or not. Whether he could assume the identity of someone else, or whether he can be finally free of this fear, free of this all-consuming fear. Bob Doyle asked for his ID. Well, he said again with a smirk, there are a lot of people who come in here with fake IDs. I just want to make sure that you are not one of them, fella. You see, again. Ernesto nodded. He gave him his ID. Franklin Patton. Bob Doyle looked at the ID in his hand for a while. Ernesto's photo was on it. He turned it upside down, scrutinized it. Bob Doyle probably assumed that it was all fake. And then he exclaimed, "You people are good, you know. You people are really good." He was thoughtful for a moment and then gave back his ID to Ernesto. "Well, we are hard-working folks here. You see, this is America." So he left all the pretense. Ernesto thought that the job interview would go according to him being an American, that he would be treated for the first time as an American. Franklin Patton wasn't it an American name? But he was disappointed. Bob Doyle, he knew right away who he was, what he's been doing about this scheme. Pablo Alhambra had recommended that he should apply for a job, for a legal job, but not everywhere. There are some who are too suspicious, or some who want to make a bargain or try to get a bounty in reporting illegal undocumented migrants. So you have to be careful. Some are just wild. However, Ernesto had prepared himself for a job interview, what a normal American man would say, or a young man would say. Go into a job interview. He thought that he will be talking about his school. He prepared some phrases. Well, school was tough, yeah, but I made it. Yeah, I did not get along with all teachers, but well, so what? No one can. He got some grades and diplomas from Franklin Patton. Nothing significant, but enough to apply for a job. So enough that he could say, well, here, Franklin Patton, he graduated from high school. Here it is. And his name and everything seems legal, isn't it? And he prepared all this school. He made even research about this high school Franklin Patton went to. He was curious what guy Franklin Patton was. Was he the teacher's pet? Was he the cool guy? Was he an athlete? Or whatever. He asked even Pablo Alhambra. But Pablo only shaked it off. Don't you worry. Bob, he will take care of you. That's all he got. The life of someone else. He assumed that he doesn't know anything of it. But yet he prepared for the job interview diligently. He wanted to be perceived as an American. He wanted to perceive to be this Franklin Patton. But then Bob had nothing but contempt for him. He could feel that this man probably does not like Latinos, that he is not fond of them, but yet he is willing to take one of them in. We are hard-working folks here, you know. This is what America is. Bob Doyle went into a lengthy speech why America is more advanced than all those Latin American countries. because we do not leave things to chance. He told, in the end, Ernesto, we work for our life. We are decent folks. We do not betray. We do not cheat. And there Bob Doyle stopped, looked again at the name of the application paper, at the header, Franklin Patton. You see, Mr. Patton, he again said this surname with sarcasm. You see, Mr. Patton, this is what is America. And many, they do not understand what's like to be American. We see, as if he had thought about something, as if he had maybe or may have not given up that Ernesto, this Franklin, could probably become an American. Who knows? But that was it. That was Ernesto. Ernesto, who gave up his name, who was not called Ernesto anymore, but Frankie. Bob, the guy who said his name, his surname, sarcastically, his assumed surname, with a smirk, had grown accustomed to call him Frankie, as if there would not be any barrier whatsoever, as if he would have been Frankie all his life. Frankie. He heard this his entire life, even if he works with other people, with other illegal migrants. At least he assumes that they are undocumented like himself, because they do not know each other. They do not talk between each other. Some of them assume that the guys with whom they work with, that they are all Americans, and if they reveal that they are not legally here, that someone would immediately run to the custom office, want to get a bounty or whatever, and report someone undocumented migrant. So it is safer to assume and even continue to play the role, even for the sake of learning to practice the language. So even in his job, and when he meet other people, Ernesto is called Frankie, is assumed to be a true American, is assumed to have no worries whatsoever, to be an ordinary all-American boy, the guy from the neighborhood who swipes your driveway, who helps you in the garden, who mows your lawn, who helps you with your fences, and so on, who does all these odd jobs for you, so you do not have to fear anything. It's not a foreigner, it's not anyone. Look at him, he looks white, he looks like a white American, and his name is Franklin Patton, Frankie, so you don't have to worry about anything. The thought makes Ernesto sad. It feels like as if he would be changing, as if something inside him would be transforming. And there are a lot of days where he can't just hear the stupid name Frankie anymore. But what can he do? He has no alternative.